sister
includes the
stole my father's
distribution of the
inheritance.
estate.
She didn't know one letter changed everything. Look, I sat frozen in the lawyer's office as my sister smirked
I'll
across the
need your
table.
signature on
She
these
had just inherited
documents.
everything: the house,
The
the land, the savings,
house,
even my father's
the
classic Mustang
land,
that he spent 20
the
years restoring. I
savings,
got nothing,
the
absolutely nothing.
house,
She looked at me
the
and whispered,
land,
that finally realized
even
which
my
size mattered.
father's
What she
classic
didn't know was that
Mustang that
single
he
letter
spent
buried
20
inside my
years.
father's will was about to destroy everything. She thought she had won. But my father passed away last year after a sudden heart attack. He wasn't a billionaire, but he had built a successful construction company and accumulated assets worth around $3 million. Growing up, Dad and I were close. My older sister Emily wasn't. She moved away at 18, rarely visited,
My
and only
father
seemed
passed
interested
away
in Dad
last
when she
year
needed money.
after a sudden
Still, he
heart
loved her.
attack.
He always did. When he died,
He
I was
built a
devastated.
successful
Emily showed up
construction
to the
company.
funeral wearing designer clothes and somehow managed to
Growing
ask
up,
about the
Dad and I
inheritance
were
before the
close.
burial even
My older
happened.
sister
That
Emily
shouldn't been my
wasn't.
first
She
warning.
only
My
seemed
mother's
interested
letter.
in
We
Dad
met
when
with
she
Dad's
needed money.
attorney.
Dad,
The
can I
lawyer
borrow
opened the
some
will.
money?
I
How much do
expected a
you
face
need?
flip. Instead, I felt the blood drain from my face. Everything was left to Emily. Everything. The lawyer read the document twice. There was no mistake. My name wasn't listed anywhere. Not even a small percentage, nothing. Emily leaned back in their chair like she did just won the lottery. I couldn't even speak. My father would never do that, never. The man who called me every Sunday, the man who helped me through college, the man who did everything. I was his greatest achievement. Something felt wrong, very wrong. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying every conversation we did ever had. Dad had mentioned updating his 6 months before he died. I remember him saying, "Don't worry, son. Everything's taken care of." If that was true, why was I erased completely? The next morning, I requested a copy of the will. I read every page, every signature, every paragraph. Then I noticed something strange. A typo? Or what, like a typo? One tiny letter. My father's middle name was Alien. This will listed him as Alan. Just one letter different. Most people wouldn't ignore it, but my father was obsessive about details. The kind of man who corrected spelling error on restaurant menus. There was no chance he had missed his own name. No chance. My stomach dropped. I hired an attorney. Within days, we started digging. The deeper we looked, the worse it got. The document had been signed only 3 weeks before Dad died. The witnesses were people nobody could identify. The notary's license had expired years earlier, and the signature. It looked close, very close, but forensic experts found stable inconsistencies. The pressure patterns were wrong. The pen stroke were
My
unnatural.
father was
Someone had
obsessive
practiced
about
copying his
details.
signature a lot.
There
Then
was
came
no
the
chance he'd
bombshell.
miss his own
That's law.
name.
Firm had no
I
record of
hired an
preparing the will.
attorney.
None. The document that gave Emily everything had never passed through their office. It was fake, completely fake. The court investigated started. Emily acted shocked, then angry, then terrified. Evidence began piling up. Security footage showed her entering Ted's home while he was hospitalized. Bank records showed unusual withdrawals. Emily revealed she had contacted multiple online document service weeks before the new will appeared. The puzzle pieces finally fit together. Dad had never changed his will, Emily had, or at least she tried to. The four documents was her ticket to millions, and she wouldn't gotten away with it, except for one tiny mistake, one letter, Alan, not Ellen. The mistake that made me look closer, the mistake that triggered the investigation, the mistake that unraveled her entire scheme. 6 months later, the judge issued the ruling. The frog will was invalid. Dad's real will was restored. The state was split exactly as he originally intended, 50-50. But Emily never got her half because by then she was facing criminal fraud charges. The court froze her inheritance pending the case. She had spent years chasing money. Now she was spending her days winning with defense attorneys. The last time I saw her was outside the courthouse. She looked nothing like the confident woman who had snicked at me in lawyer's office. She asked if I felt victorious. I thought about it for a moment, then I said, "No, I would rather have that back." For the first time, she had no response. A few weeks later, I visited Dad's grave. I placed a small model Mustang beside the headstone, the same car Emily had fought so hard to steal. As I stood there, I remembered something Dad used to tell me. Character is what do you when nobody's watching. In the end, that's exactly what exposed her. Not the investigators, not the lawyers, not even me, just her own greed. And one tiny letter she never thought anyone would notice. TLDR. My sister forgot a will to steal our father's entire $3 million estate. She thought she had won until I noticed a single misspelled letter in Dad's name. That tiny mistake exposed the fraud, tricked an investigation, and destroyed her plan completely.